So, how do we protect ourselves online? Do we need passwords for every account that we have? Do we need to have variations of the same one? How is AI or artificial intelligence being used to trick and scam us into believing we're actually talking to our child or our friend or our uncle or a relative rather than a robot or an AI scammer behind their computer somewhere? Should we have two accounts, private and personal, when we're dealing with business online social media accounts? And what do we do if we get hacked? Those are all the things we're going to talk about today with Brandon Lauer of the White Hatter Group in Victoria, British Columbia. They are an unbelievably just knowledgeable group of people that discuss digital literacy, internet safety, online privacy. They teach students, educators, businesses, everybody. I've been to their seminars at the high school. I have watched their videos. They are knowledgeable to the end of the earth, and I can't wait for you to listen to our conversation today about all the things just mentioned. Welcome to Safe Realty with me, Shannon Cutler, your host. I am on a mission to educate my listeners so they don't become the next true crime news headline. As a former police officer with 18 years of investigative experience and now a real estate agent, I guide realtors on how to handle their own security in vulnerable situations and develop best safe business practices. If you enjoy learning new tools on how to improve your safety, I'm going to ask you to please follow this podcast, leave a review, and share it with your friends. I can't wait for you to hear more. So thanks again, Brandon, for joining me today on Safe Realty. In my intro today, I talked a little bit about your company, and we'll continue to do that as we go on. But I guess maybe we could start with some of the most important questions that realtors have when we're talking about realtor safety. And I know you've dealt with other things with similar type professions beforehand, like lawyers, realtors, all banking, that type of institution. So we'll maybe talk about a few different things as it relates to processes. So I guess one of the things we had discussed earlier was talking about processing large sums of money with companies such as real estate companies or lawyers and banks, and some things that you have found that have affected this type of industry. What do you have to share about that?
Yeah, working professionals, they are experts in their line of work, and they have all these years of experience and education, and they're good at what they do. But often working professionals also have to be their own IT support at times, their own IT security infrastructure at times, especially if you are truly an independent working professional working by yourself. It's really all on you. So yeah, over the past, I would say over 8, 10 or so years now, we have seen an increase in cybercrime relating to lawyers, realtors, people who might not have the benefit of a large corporation's tech infrastructure to isolate them from phishing attacks, cybersecurity attacks, or whatever method a hacker or scammer wants to use. So having to kind of like increase a working professional's digital literacy skill to have them understand what are some of the basic steps you can take, because when it comes to cybercrime, most of these cyber criminals, they're looking for the lowest hanging fruit. If you have even the basic level of security, they're probably going to leave you alone, go away, and find someone else who is more willing in order to fall for whatever scam or hack they're looking to pull past you.
I like that low hanging fruit because I know even the lowest level of security, like we talk about having when I was policing too, if you have a dog in the yard or even a sign on your window that says there's a security system, even if there isn't, they're going to skip that house just in the chance that something is there or a dog is there and move on to the next person who doesn't have that level of security. So what maybe are like a couple of the top tips to
Yeah.
help that?
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate we have to think that way. It's like, no, don't target me, target the person over there, even though they are, our neighbors or fellow citizens. It's unfortunate that's kind of how we have to deal with things, but a cyber criminal is going to look for target regardless. So yeah, the basic things that folks can do. actually, because over the last 5 or so years now, one of the biggest questions that I'm getting from even students in grade school is someone's logged into my account, someone's hacked into my account. What can I do about that? That's like one of the most biggest questions I'm getting now. So, working with people of all ages to have the basic understandings, super duper important. So, I think account management is probably the most important digital literacy skill that any citizen should have under their belt. So, I mean, I saw a report. The average adult manages about 90 different online accounts. Like 90. Now, okay. Um, basic security practices. Every account should have a different password. You're never going to remember 90 different passwords. So, password managers are pretty effective solution. I know for the folks who are Apple users, Apple has their keychain or their new password app now in their latest update. For Android users, Android Google has their own password manager, also built into Chrome, which is really cool. And there are third party ones out there. Some are free, pretty limited, but you can pay for extra features to better manage or generate passwords for you. But there are free solutions. I love offering free solutions when available. So having a tool in place to host your passwords in a more secure place. Not putting your passwords in your note apps on your phone that often get cloud backed up somewhere and now they're saved in two places. Or if someone loses their phone, someone picks it up, maybe gets into it. First place anyone looks for juicy, sensitive information, note apps. First place anyone looks. When I was doing my master's degree and I was actually interviewing hackers and scammers, fascinating research. Basically, that's one of the gold nuggets for them is that's the first place anyone looks. Someone's in your device, they're going to do a command search for the word password and see anything in your documents that might have the word password in it. First thing they do. So, putting your passwords in a more secure, encrypted environment that's not your note apps, really important to make sure they're different, they're managed, and some of those more paid for premium programs also do data breach checking. So if your email or password was found in a known hack or a data breach of a company that you might have an account with, it will send you a notification going, hey, we found your email a data breach. You might want to make some changes because someone might find their way inside your account.
That's
So,
cool.
basic things like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. And that might be, I mean, more beneficial for like a overall brokerage to have that kind of thing than they're managing like the big um or a banking institution. Yeah, I really like that. That's interesting. So if somebody's account does get hacked, because I mean, for me, I use when I first left policing, I notified everybody in the world that I was in real estate now because how else are they going to know and how are they going to use me? So all my business came from social media, just leads that way. And now probably it's 25 to 30% of people find me via social media. So I count on my ongoing accounts and my contacts on there for my business. So if we are to be hacked, what can we do so that we don't lose everything?
Right. So a lot of people, when they message me and they go, hey, I've been hacked, what can I do about it? People have this impression it's like hacking in the movies. You got all these screens breaking into the mainframe. You got these like green letters from like the classic Matrix scene. Like, no, it's actually quite boring. It really is. It's quite simply, maybe you have an account online, the website got hacked, passwords leaked. A hacker finds an Excel spreadsheet of passwords, and they go, "Oh, you had that password for this account 5 years ago. Huh, let's try that same password," and they get in that way. That's one of the most common ways. Or someone sends you a malicious frauding type link, takes you to a fake website. It looks to copy and paste. There's a spot for your password, a spot for your username, type it in, and that's how they get it. So those are the actually quite boring, but that's how majority of hacks occur today. So if that happens, It's a password hack. First step, every single time, change your password
Mm.
as soon as possible, because for most accounts, when you go into your settings and change your password, it will reset your login on all your other logged in devices. So that means if a hacker is some halfway across the world trying to get in and they're inside, you change your password, they get kicked out,
Mhm.
which then allows you to recover. So that's the first step every single time. And if you have any suspicion that someone might be into your email, worst case scenario.
Mhm.
So you have to work extremely more faster to fix that, because one of the golden nuggets for hackers are emails, because it's even more important than your bank account. People go, really? Why is that? Well, have you ever forgotten your login to your bank account? What do? You press that forget password button. You get sent an email that
Right.
then changes your password.
Yes.
So if someone's in your email, they just go reset, reset, reset for all your accounts. They change the ownership. That is the goal. That's the golden standard, is getting into someone's email. So having sure your email is the most secure account in your entire life is my recommendation to everybody I work with.
Oh, I'm getting nervous just thinking about this. Oh, because yeah, like between the kids stuff, the sports, my stuff, the business, everything. There's so many things I can't remember all the passwords. I try and be clever about them, and then yeah, I'm all constantly resetting them via email. Oh my gosh, I have to do an audit myself. I think everybody that's listening should do an audit of their passwords and audit, especially of your email.
Yeah,
That
that's
is,
that's not a bad solution,
yeah.
especially whatever top accounts you use, your social media, your bank, your email, the major ones. When I work with a lot of kids, they say, "Well, Brandon, do I need a different password for all my gaming accounts?" Well, as a security guy, I have to say yes, but realistically, it's probably not the biggest issue if you have a couple same passwords for those like tertiary accounts. So you just maybe do like, so what? Someone gets your Netflix streaming account.
Mhm.
Okay, you share the same password with Netflix and
Mhm.
Disney Plus. Probably not the end of the world. Um, but your social media, your banks, all your major ones, yeah, definitely different and unique.
What if somebody loses an entire, say, Instagram account and they have to start over? Is that is there a way to duplicate an account? Do you know of? I mean, maybe this is something that you don't know about.
Yes and no. So if ever you have an account problem, working with whatever provider, social network, good luck. Honestly, they don't care. There's so many hacks and scams that happen every day. They don't have enough staff to
Mhm.
deal with every issue, and they'll send you a quick help guide that doesn't do exactly what you want it to do. And in some cases, you might, if you are persistent, you spend the time and effort. You might get an actual real person on a phone call working for Instagram or Meta or whoever you're talking to, who can walk you through and guide you and give you some assistance. But for average, normal, regular folks who are not influencers, who have a dedicated manager on their team with a direct line to that
Yeah.
social network, difficult, very difficult. It might require sending your ID to them. It can take months of a process, and it still might not even be resolved. So, in some cases, some people I worked with, what they did is, so an account was stolen or hacked, and they just went to their Instagram page on their phone and they just screen captured all the images and they just reposted them all.
Oh,
So that's a way, and I know a lot of people will delete photos or images they posted once they're up there. Um, for me, because of the work I do, a lot of my social media content is saved on my own external drive. For whatever reason, either I want to pull that stuff back out, or when you upload something to social media, it's usually more compressed, it's lower quality. So
mm,
I want to have the raw original version of whatever I share. So a lot of my content is shared on an external device for any future use. But most people don't do that. If you're a working professional, might be something you may want to consider. But those are some options available if someone does take your account and you have to make a new one.
yeah. First world problems, I suppose. you know,
Indeed.
really. It's just, I think you just become so dependent on the contacts and it just grows and grows. And then you're like, oh God, it's just who has the energy for it? But really, first world problems.
And I think we're seeing that right now today with TikTok. Is there's a lot of creators
Yeah.
worried about TikTok being banned, removed, deleted, and there's a lot of content going. How can I back up all of my videos on TikTok because I'm moving to some new platform? Because in a month or so, or a week or so, or a couple of days or so, I may no longer have access. And so I think a lot of people who are posting, especially on TikTok right now, are coming to that realization. Maybe you might want to keep a copy of all your content just in case.
Just in case. Yeah, that's right. I guess it depends on what value you put on it or whatever. And I know those influencers, that's it's their life, right? And it is. I get it. Um so I know we had talked before about AI, artificial intelligence, and this is like the hot topic right now at any conference I go to. Everybody's talking about it. I know AI has been with us for many years already, but now it's just sort of more of a buzzword. Um but it is growing in popularity and it's growing in integration and what it can do. So I've heard of a few scams using AI, and I know you had mentioned one to me previously. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that and how that will affect the scamming industry, sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. There's a couple that come to mind that I've seen recently being developed or utilized by scammers. The one that the big one is the easiest one that I see occurring is voice mimicking. So right now there are programs and some even used for podcasting where you can sample someone's voice and then using AI, just a quick couple seconds, it will analyze the tonality, the volume, the depth of someone's voice. And then via keyboard, you can just type in and it will speak back to you exactly what that person sounds like. You might have more experience with this if you're on social media. You've probably seen even on TikTok, people will mimic um, actors' voices to say sometimes funny things you never expect the actor to say, or put them in an awkward situation. But we all know that's AI. We know Morgan Freeman didn't actually say whatever this person's trying to make them say, but we that's probably something that most people will come across. But those same tools that are available, some are even free, is can be used to say someone posts on social media. Maybe they go on vacation. Hey, on vacation, see you in X amount of days. Share that video. Hacker or scammer sees that. They take a sample, they extract just the audio, someone talking to their camera in a social media post. They plop it into that AI, and then via their keyboard, will just type in what they want that person to say, sounding just like them. And for working professionals, this is a growing concern because a lot of growing professionals, like you said, are gaining clients through their social media activity. And video is the number one content you want to be sharing and posting. So there's going to be a lot of audio samples of someone's voice that could be used and then artificially mimicked. And one case was it was a business deal, and there was an individual who was handling some money, and they traditionally they're used to doing a lot of their work over the phone. Hey, it's me. Can you send me this amount of money? Sure, not a problem. And they send it. So, hacker and scammer basically sampling that person's voice. They made a bogus phone call to the client going, hey, can you send me this amount of money? Yep, you sound just like the person I have business dealings with for the last 5+ years. Okay, not a problem. Send you some money, intercepted, and then, well, you can assume the rest.
Right.
So that is one of the growing concerns. And when I'm working even with families, I tell families, yeah, in my family, if you call me and ask me for money on the phone, I'm not giving you a cent. I'm going to double check and verify in our own family Discord server or some kind of messaging app we all use, going, hey, you just called me asking for money. Was this actually you? It sucks we have to do that now, but unfortunately, voices are easily mimicked and copied. And I think for working professionals, having some kind of protocol not to do business dealings and send money or information just from a phone call and verifying by someone's voice. That's not good enough anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I like how you talked a little bit about what you do as with your family. And you take an extra step to verify. I do teach a little bit about like the panic button being hit by people, like say a buyer calls and says, I need to get into this house right now. And they panic, 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 and they put their panic on you. And so as a realtor, we don't stop and take the time we need to make ourselves safe before we enter a isolated place with a stranger. But this is the same thing. Like the panic of this money that this person needs is created. It's not a real thing. And that panic, if it is an actual emergency, taking the 30 seconds or the 1 minute to verify will help everybody in the long run and save yourself, a scam. But that's the pressure. And especially I see that, with, teenagers, or even like seniors, where they get that sense of urgency put upon them and they don't know, they panic inside and then they just do and react rather than verifying. So I really like what you said about that.
Yeah, sense of urgency is one of the number one modes of scams or manipulation that hackers, scammers, even your traditional in-person criminals will
Yeah.
use in order to bypass whatever security measures you might have in place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's even in person. That's one of the main things I talk about outside of this cyber business, which is a whole other level. But even the sense of urgency that's created by a person that puts us at risk when we buy into that and we, don't employ our safe business practices. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge going forward. I mean, I love AI for some things and other ways like this. I mean, it's a bit frightening because there's so much we don't really understand. But then I've gone on to Canva and used AI software to create a picture that doesn't actually exist, but I can type in the text of what I want it to look like, and it appears as a picture like that I created. And it's bizarre. But I think rather than shoving it away, we need to learn a little bit about it and understand it, whether it's going to be benefit us or not. But um, to understand is a big one. Um, so I know that you talk to professional groups, you talk to high schools, educators, seniors. I saw that you do a workshop with seniors as well. In the time that you've been teaching this, and I know it's been a number of years, um, do you have any really the funniest or the weirdest story of the way that somebody was scammed or approached? I bet you have a ton of stories, but I'd love to hear one.
One of my go-to stories that I love sharing is when people are building online accounts is always be cautious and double checking the information you're putting into your required fields. A lot of people, there's a lot of social networks, even right now with a potential TikTok ban, there are so many other TikTok clones popping up that people are trying to jump on to secure their handles and such. And so in that rush, sometimes people don't double check their work. So there was one case, we had a student message us and they said, hey, White Hatter, someone's hacked into my account. What's going on? Okay, cool. Students message us on their own very social platforms that we're on as well. Kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, hey, you take a look? Yeah, sure, not a problem. Took a look. Instantly, I recognized in their profile bio, they had what appeared to look to be a password. Upon review, that was their password. And what we conclude is, as they were building their profile, they didn't double check their work. By complete accident, they had put their password in the wrong box and additionally in their password box. So, hacker, scammer, if they see an account, what looks to be a password in the wrong spot, are they going to try that? Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get in. So, that's one of the stories I like to tell is like, hey, double check your work. Make sure before you press the post, go live, make account button, make sure all your spots or the information are in the right spot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I know that even with, like, say for Instagram, we with real estate, we have certain criteria that we have to follow for regulations to make sure that we have our company and the type of agent we are, and we have to have that in our headline. And you can only change with Instagram your profile name twice in 14 days. You
Mhm.
can't. So one time I actually had misspelled some information in there and I couldn't change it for 14 days. So again, watch your work and double check. That's a good tip, definitely. Yeah. So I don't know if I read this or not, but why is it the white hat, or what does the white hatter symbolize?
Originally, it didn't actually really mean a whole lot necessarily. For us, we would we well working with a lot of kids and students, we want to grab their attention. So we would just wear a big funny white hat as sort of like a prop. And then what happened? We were never known as the White Hatter back then, but it was one day on the ferry. One of our team members were on the boat, and a group of, I think it was volleyball students or something, approached them and said, "Hey, you're the white hatter person." Because they never remembered our names, but they always remembered the big, funny, weird white hat. So they went, "Hey, you're right. We are the White Hatter." And from that day forward, we began to be known as the White Hatter. And if you want to use it as a symbol, we like to say we shine a big bright light into those dark spaces of the internet where cyber criminals and scammers and hackers tend to reside. And if we can show people, well, here's how they achieve their craft, here's what you can do to avoid that, you're probably going to have a much better online experience. So that's how the name started, and that's the kind of symbol that we like to use in how we reference it.
I love that. I love that that it was created very organically with somebody recognized. That's a really cool way to recognize you too. But I really like that you're talking about shining that light on in the dark spaces of because there's just not an there's so much of this out there. And being able to provide that light to parents and educators and kids, and it's even seniors, like just to be able to provide that little bit of education and knowledge is quite comforting
Yeah,
and alarming as well, but comforting to know that there are things that we can do to protect ourselves, and if we have that little level of security, it could make all the difference. And that's a really big one.
yeah,
That's a
and
great
working
takeaway.
professionals are busy. They don't have the time in order to invest in all this research and understanding and stay up to date on the latest things that are hacked or breached or whatnot. So, because they're busy, they're experts in their field of expertise. So, yeah, that's where we kind of come in and go, hey, here's a couple basic things you should quickly do, just to make it that much more unlikely that you would be a target for a scam or a hack or other kind of piece of cybercrime.
Yeah, that's great. So, in regards to your company and what the White Hatter offers, what types of things would realtors or real estate brokerages benefit from? Is it a way to like hire you to come into the company or to speak? What types of resources or workshops do you offer this industry?
Sure. Well, like I said earlier, we love free. So, yes, how we actually run the business, pay for all our studio equipment that we use. Yes, we do in person, virtual, or broadcasting workshops. But what I want to point your listeners to is we have over 400 articles on our website completely free that talks about our opinions, talks about what's happening, steps to protect yourself. We are focusing more this year, 2025, on video content. So we're putting a bigger focus on our YouTube channel, and YouTube's free. It costs you nothing. And then we have in the past been doing a bit of podcasting work, but because we were so busy working in schools, going into organizations, we have to be strategic in how we spend our time. I need more of me. I need to multiply I need to clone myself
I
here.
bet.
There's so much more I need to do, but we do the best we can, and we love doing free stuff as much as possible. But yeah, we will go into organizations if they're interested, and we will do workshops for them on some of the things we mentioned and other just some of the basic cybersecurity that working professionals need to take upon themselves to ensure that they don't get into trouble. Because some people that I work with have said, well, why should I care if I'm working? Maybe you work for a business and you go, oh, so what? Someone hacks me and I'm working for a business. The business gets hacked. I don't care. I'm the employee. Well, when a business gets hacked, often their employees and customers also get impacted. And if a hacker or scammer uses you as a vector in order to breach that company, there can be other issues that come up there. And a lot of people are mixing their professional work and their personal work way too close together. And that's why even when I'm working with students in high school, I'm saying to them, hey, have two different online profiles. You have your personal profile, that's for your friends, your family, you play games on that. You have your public profile, and that's what you want to curate and show to the world. Here's how awesome I am. Give me those opportunities, give me those scholarships, give me those job offers. And we're seeing students achieving those things. Um, but if you separate personal and professional, makes life so much easier in the long run. And that's why I'm working with kids when they're making their accounts. If you do it at the ground level, it makes it easier. Do it 10 years later when you've already mixed too close together, really hard to untangle. And things can get very messy really quickly.
Yes, agree. On the real estate safety course I teach, that's one of the things that we talk about. Your private family and friends versus your public, and you do want them to be separate. I saw a video that you guys had put out today talking exactly about that, because I have a teenager and, coming to university student, and those types of ways to show all the cool things that you're doing in the community and in your school. I never really thought about that as as something. I think about it as a professional, because this is the stage of life I'm at. But as teenagers too, coming up in the workforce and in university applications, I think that's a fantastic thing. And the separation, I think, is very important, especially because most people say they value privacy, and so that there is only certain ways to achieve that. I do, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, like an example that I'll use with kids is in the influencer market, or if you are a sole proprietor running your own independent business, similar as well, where a lot of working professionals will use their personal email. Going back to emails, we will use their personal email as part of their business, commerce, and operations. But let's say not from like a security standpoint, but from just future planning. Maybe now you're looking at selling your business. Maybe as an influencer, you're now looking to actually incorporate yourself. Okay, but now you have your personal email, your personal account attached to all your professional work. Maybe now you're hiring employees. They have to use a work email, which is now also your personal email, to do correspondence. And just to separate that stuff can take weeks of time to understand where you have all your accounts, resetting your emails, now making a professional business email and reassigning that to all your accounts. Yeah, it's that's a lot of work. So yeah, two different accounts, two different profiles for security and for future planning.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good, a very good takeaway. And I know that you have a busy day ahead of you. So before we conclude our chat today, is there anything else? I know we've talked about a number of things. Is there anything else that you thought maybe was important for folks in the real estate industry to take away today?
You know, taking a quick extra couple seconds when you're doing your work to critically think about who you're sending things to, who you're actually talking with. When you're building your accounts, you might think it's silly to have to make a separate password. But if you're using a password manager, it's like an extra minute or so to enter your credentials into your manager. And it can save you so much more time in the future. Yeah, it's annoying. It's an extra minute in your current day. But if something goes wrong, that can take weeks to recover, if not months. So, I like insurance. Um, People don't always like paying for insurance every month or so, but hey, if something goes wrong, the totality of the cost can be way more than what you're paying for that insurance.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good tip. We talk a lot about that on the real estate safety course. Slow it down, critically think. That's wonderful. That's a, yeah, one of the most important things that I have to keep pushing into people. And in relation to online security, and our digital footprint, I think that's wonderful. That's great. Thank you so much for joining me on Safe Realty today.
That was wonderful. It's a pleasure to share some information with you and your listeners.
Good. I hope to have you back again.
You bet.
Wasn't he so knowledgeable, so great? I loved having Brandon on the show today. And I know he has got a partner as well. And I've watched some of their YouTube videos and they're fantastic. So I'm going to link to all the places in the show notes of how to reach out to the White Hatter for their resources. There's so many free resources on their website. It's crazy. Plus, the YouTube channel is getting going and there's tons of free stuff on there. So don't miss any of the things they have to say, because like a barking dog in your backyard, this stuff will help keep you safer. So a couple of the top takeaways from today with the White Hatter in digital security and online privacy is passwords, password protection. Change your passwords, use a passkey, don't write them in your notes. Artificial intelligence is here and here to stay. If you get a scam call or you don't know if it's a scam call through a phone or just some kind of voice memo, verify that that person actually needs the money. That's a big one. The AI use of video and voice to scam us. Don't get caught. And then we talked about having two accounts, personal and private. Separate them too. Separate them with privacy controls, separate them with content. There's so much more we can learn from Brandon. I hope we have him again on the show in the near future. And if not, I'm going to see if he can come teach a course up here on our real estate board, because I think people are just going to love him and love all the content they have to offer. Do you have a story or a tip to share? Reach out via email or social media. Your experience could help someone else, and it might even be featured on an upcoming episode. Links are below in the show notes. Please leave a rating and review so that others like you can find me and learn ways to keep themselves safer. And if you learned anything in today's episode, please recommend this or share it to 3 friends. The more people that have this information in their hands, the more people we can keep safe. Have a great day, and I can't wait to see you again soon.